Hey, first of all, I want to say thanks to all of you for showing up and taking the time to come listen to me, and I do apologize. I'll try not to cut it short, promise you that. I do want to take a brief moment, and I don't know if any of you have heard about the deal in Connecticut, but you know, our thoughts and our prayers go out to all those families. What's such a tragic deal. I've been out here for 9 days and haven't seen my little girl, so kind of hits home, doesn't it? As far as going through this, my role this week has been talking about the do's and the don'ts, the ins and the outs of proper groundwork versus improper groundwork. Not saying that the role is for me to step up here and teach you to rope like me, because that's not what it's about. I've talked about this all week, and what we're after is for us to be able to go create and put those fundamentals in place. And what I've tried to do all week long, or since this started, is talk to people about practice, about preparation, about the groundwork where we create good habits, where we create bad habits, and understanding right from wrong. And if we understand that, and we understand how to approach that, then we're going to be able to go to the practice pen and get better. And that's what I want to go over with you today. Again, at any time that you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. There has not been a day yet go by since I've been here, nor is there one when I'm at home at the NRS Training Center doing those clinics, that I don't get asked those same questions day in and day out, day in and day out. So don't think for a second that your question isn't relevant or something like that, because I promise you, your problem is everybody else's problem. We all go through the exact same thing, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to start out talking to you about little things on the ground that you will really see show up on your horse. And whenever we do this, just understanding what helps, what doesn't help. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday, and it's been the number one question asked every day this week. I have somebody walk up and they'll ask me, I'm having a hard time getting my head horse straight. I'm having a hard time to get my head horse straight. And so we talk about it, and says, I went to a little bit bigger bit, and if I've heard that once this week, I bet I've heard it at least 60 times. And I'm going to walk you through some stuff right now that will actually help you with that particular problem, because we're all guilty of it if we've had it, right? We'll back in the box, we'll draw a steer that runs on pretty hard, and then we'll come back and we'll draw that steer that high lopes out there and you can really go win some money on, and that's the one we need to be sharp on. And then our horse just kind of runs through us. Well, this is what we got talking about. I see so many headers that we get trapped in this position of, when we nod our head, we pull and we leave straight ahead with our chin, okay? But when I do that, my shoulders are square to my target right here. I'm sorry, my shoulders are square to my horse. And what I'm needing to do is get my shoulders square to my target. Well, by doing that, it actually puts my horse in the left lead, because my right foot goes against my horse, and it allows me to be ready sooner. So look at the difference right here. We can break it down on this level right here. If I leave forward and everything comes forward, see where things are stuck right here? It looks stiff, doesn't it? My tip, the lowest point of my swing is where? Right over there. Now look at the difference if I leave there open. So when I get to position, my tip is already loaded at my target. Well, the reason that I brought the deal up about those horses backing off and rating is because we're the ones who get them running through the bridle. We'll ask them for 100% to go chase one that runs, and then we'll bring them right back, and we need to have them just as sharp and just as prepared for that money steer, or what I call a money steer. And the first thing we do is we get in a tug of war contest with them right there. Okay? How many of you have had that happen to you? No. Yeah. And it will. The thing that I'm after on my groundwork is to practice what I want to do on my horse. One, I want to be balanced. I want to be balanced. If I step up and rope the dummy and I don't have any balance on the ground, you know, there's no control right there. There's no control. So if I'm not practicing control, I'm not going to have control. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to be able to rope that dummy from different places on the ground, but what I'm after and what I see is my horsemanship side of it. If I step up to that dummy and I'm ready to rope and I stick, I have balance right here to where I have my legs under me. If I'm practicing balance on the ground, then I'm going to try to create that muscle memory to where I'm doing the same thing in my stirrups. Does that make sense to everyone? From there, I can ride my horse wherever I need to go. But something as simple as this right here, roping the dummy and going, you think it's pretty sharp and pretty snappy, but look at where all my body weight is. And everything you do becomes muscle memory, right? I'm training myself to do this. Look at where my left hand went. Look at where my slack went, my body weight. And just because I caught that dummy makes me believe that I'm doing it right, okay? I'm not a fan of saying you need to step right foot forward, left foot forward. What I'm a fan of is shoulder square to your target. I know a lot of people, I teach more left foot forward at my clinics because when I take those beginner students, intro level team roping students, I'm trying to get them to think shoulder square to the target. So I will tell them more left foot forward. But also I know a lot of people that step right foot, but they're always like this right here, okay? Don't make such a big deal about left foot forward, right foot forward. Make it more about shoulder square to your target, okay? Common question asked. Common question asked. Why does it wave off the left horn? We've seen that happen, right? Most of the time, and I saw it happen, I think it was, I don't remember who it was, the night before last. A lot of times when those steers drop their head, it's pretty easy to wave it off of them. But whenever we reach and rope one, a lot of times it'll go on and just as soon as you rip that slack, it'll just flip right off the left horn. And the most common reason for that is this right here. Whenever you deliver your rope, if that hits, okay, the eye of the rope is too deep. Does that make sense? See where the tip of my rope is right now? So if I'm to hold that there, it leaves the tip of that rope out. Whenever we get that rope up there a little closer, that's what allows that to curl under, okay? So what I like to tell the students is basically it just means that you're not finishing your delivery. When I go into my delivery, we'll get to picking right here. Does that make sense? We'll kind of get to shorten out right there so we can get that slack. And when we do that, we're not getting that rope all the way to get that finish that we're after. So, because I was always taught growing up, you didn't pull your slack right. You didn't pull your slack right. How many of us heard that? I've roped the dummy. I mean, if that was the case and you didn't pull your slack right, if it goes on right, it shouldn't come off the left horn right. So if I pull my slack at the left horn, it should come off, right? If I finish my delivery, it's going to curl back underneath that horn. But if that was the case, it should be right there, okay? So just remember, I mean, again, don't make it any more than what it is. Just keep it as simple as you possibly can. Just understand that if you run up there and you rope one, unless they've got that head trick to where they roll that head down on you and it kind of doesn't allow your loop to finish right there, that's a pretty tough deal. All you need to do is have a little more finish on that delivery to where you're going to get the curl under the horn, okay? Any questions up to this point? All right. Talked about balance. That's key. I want my feet under my shoulders. I want control. I'm big on analogies. I talked about how stiff I was right here. Again, the closer my hands get together, the less balance I have. I become top heavy in the saddle, which puts me over the front of my horse. Anytime that we crawl out over the front of those horses, we're making those shoulders heavy on them. So it makes it twice as hard for them to go do their job. Agreed? So again, if I want to work on practicing opening up and being ready, that's exactly what I want to practice on the ground. I'm not going to rush it before I move over to the hillside. I'm not going to rush it. I can step away from it. I can walk to it. But again, whenever I do, stand in the wrong spot. Here, there, my tip is already down. When I get to position, I'm ready to guide it on. Okay? Go slow. As they always told us roping calves in time, go slow to be fast. That, to me, on the preparation side of it, is where I see so many people, they go to the practice pen for the wrong reason, and that is they go to the practice pen because they want to rope, and that's great. But if we go to the practice pen, that's where we should be winning, right? That's where you go put all your preparation in, and if we go practice the right way. And the reason that I talk to you about this is because I watch people base all of their success on whether or not they caught in the practice pen. Yeah, we all want to catch. We all want to catch, but did we have our goal and our game plan? Did you have those fundamentals lined up and in place? Okay? As a header, did I score my horse good? Because if my horse is picking his head up and then pushing out on me, guess where my chin's going? It's coming up, and where's my tip going? Up. So when I get to position, now my horse is stronger because I wasn't ready. You know, did you go execute setting the catch up? Okay? And that's how we prepare. And if you slow down and put every one of those pieces in place and work on each one of those pieces little by little, they all become habits. You're rolling, okay? All right. Gang, I'm not trying to short it out by any means. Does anybody have any questions? All right. This leads me into the healing. How many of you in here have been taught to stand up to heel? How many of you have heard that over and over and over? You got to get off your rear end. You can't rope sitting flat on your bottom. And the reason that I say this is because can you rope like that? Yeah, you can rope like that. The efficiency of it is not there anymore. Okay? And here's what I want to share with you, and I see this a bunch, but I see so many healers because we have been taught, get up, get off your rear end, get over your horse to rope. And the thing about that is that's a cue, isn't it? What do those horses usually do when you move forward right there? They scotch. They'll go to stopping on us. If I stand up to get ready to come on my horse, stand up in those stirrups and get ready to make my corner, what's my horse going to do? He's going to push through the corner. I'm not riding him anymore. We want those hill horses to ride around our left leg, not through it. We don't want them pushing on it. We want them to go around it. So I said this just about every day this week. Clay Cooper is the only man that was doing it for years and years and years, and it took the rest of us a decade to figure out how he was doing it. And 7 gold buckles later, right? I mean, he just sit right in the middle of his horse, ride his horse, stay with the hip of the steer, there's his shot. The rest of us are crawled out over those horses, and it's a 50-50 shot. And my analogy on this part of it is I've never seen a barrel racer run to that first barrel, and when they get to it, they stand up. Do they? They sit down and ride around that barrel. You don't see reiners slide their horses to a stop, and right before they say, whoa, stand up. You know, I can go on down the line using analogies. And my favorite one is I don't know that I ever see anybody warm their horse up that way. Agreed? We all get them saddled up, and we'll take the time to go out there and lope circles and ride them around, and we're sitting on our bottoms, we're bumping them with the calves of our legs, we're keeping them in gear, and we're swinging our rope. And then as soon as we're back in the box, we think we got to crawl out over. Okay? Now, what this is going to lead me into is I'm going to talk about the swing on my groundwork, because I see a lot of people when they rope dummies on the ground, especially the dummies with the legs up off the ground like this, and I'm a fan of that we start swinging over the back. When we swing over the back here, that becomes muscle memory, right? What happens when I get in my saddle? Now my tip is basically right here, agreed? Because now I'm 3 foot higher. So what I recommend is learn to get your tip down on your groundwork. That way you can go right into a delivery, okay? Same thing heading, isn't it? Same thing heading. If my tip's up and I get to position, what am I going to do? I got to take those extra swings to kind of put it all back together. If my tip's up coming through the corner, what's going to happen when I get to position? I got to take those extra swings to pull that tip back down to get to my target. Or I'm going to cue my horse. I'm going to drop out over it, okay? Whenever we're heeling, okay? When we're heeling, we're not trying, I see a lot of heelers try to use so much top strand. And that is more or less putting your entire loop in front of the legs for a trap, for that steer to jump into, which is more or less this right here. Swing and put the loop out in front of the legs, okay? But for me to get around that and do that, the problem with that is I had to move my body completely out and around to do that, as opposed to using the tip of my rope to go to the leg and put my bottom strand down. So if I follow the tip of that rope to my target, the momentum carries itself, okay? Whenever we deliver our heel ropes, we're coming out of that swing with the tip of our rope to where we're going to shake hands, more or less. We want our hand in that position to where we're going to shake hands with that left leg. The 3 common things that we see heelers do is we hit front legs. If you hit a front leg, now I know there's no front leg on this, but if we hit a front leg, it's because we let go too soon. We get about right there in that delivery and we let go, and the tip's still moving forward. It hasn't come down and around yet. Second thing, it shoots all the way through on us. The second and third thing are pretty much the same thing, but when our rope goes all the way through on us, okay? How many of us had that happen? And all that is you turn loose your loop, you just didn't turn loose your slack. You got to turn loose of both at the same time. And then we can almost get the same thing out of not stopping our hand, because if my hand rolls over, I'm pushing my bottom strand up and out, okay? We're all guilty of it. You can really figure it out here on this carpet because it's slick on that bottom strand. If I don't hold on to that and allow that tip to come all the way back through, my bottom strand is going to scoot forward on this carpet. So what I try to do is I try to simplify it, that the best drill that I've ever been able to show healers on this right here is we're guilty of not holding on long enough. That we'll get about right there and we'll start to let go of that rope instead of follow that tip down. So on your groundwork, again, balance, position, left leg to steer, even with my right leg in the saddle. Again, I'll talk left foot forward, but if you're right foot forward, as long as your shoulders are square to that target, okay? And that drill is get your tip set. To simplify that, If I'm high over here and low over here, that's just law of gravity. My tip is going that direction no matter what.